You're listening to a podcast from thespoilist.com. Cyberspace, the new frontier. These are the voyages of the podcast First Contact. Its mission? To explore every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. To seek out new viewers and have new conversations. To boldly view what many have viewed before.
Welcome to First Contact, the Star Trek The Next Generation intro cast, where two old school Trekkers totally take a newbie through the adventures of the Ent D-1701 coming at ya. Cha. I'm Andrew.
I'm James.
And I is Alex Boy, yeah, gee.
This week we has been watching the Icarus Factor. It first aired the week of April 24th, 1989. It was written by David DeSale and Robert L. McCulloch and directed by Robert Iskov. James, does this one have an interesting synopsis?
No. Do you want me to read it anyway?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Riker is offered captaincy of the Ares and a mission into deep and dull space. To brief him on the mission, the Federation sends a specialist who just happens to be Riker's estranged father. You remember the one that was mentioned last week? You see, it's kind of linking in. You see? It's brilliant, that. Turns out, he also used to be in a relationship with Pulaski, even though she never mentioned that last week when Riker was talking about his father. Even though that would have been the perfect time to mention it, and link her in with this episode. Ah well. This isn't enough story to fill out an episode, so it treated to a tedious B-plot about Worf celebrating his bar mitzvah, and an even more tedious C-plot about weird warp core readings. In the end, Riker sort of maybe resolves things with his father and decides to stay on the Enterprise.
Well, Alex, this was certainly one of those episodes that divides opinion. So, what did you think of it? I know it has a lot of very big fans out there.
If I said it was f***ing dreadful, would you say I was being too mild in my opinions?
I would say that you're certainly entitled to your opinions, and your opinions would be right.
I will stick with that then. That's fine. Yeah.
Is it just because you still think that the Klingons are racist?
You know what? The Klingons, probably the best bit of the episode, which is saying something.
And you know, I'm not even going to save this until quickfire. I'm just going to say it now. Some of the Klingons were wearing gorilla boots from Planet of the Apes.
That is a good fact, and that is more interesting than a lot of the stuff in this episode. So the Enterprise is on its way to Starbase Montgomery. Did anyone else notice that Starbase Montgomery isn't a starbase but a planet?
Well, couldn't it be a starbase on the planet? Does it need to be in space to be a starbase?
But every time they've mentioned a starbase before, it is, you know, a great big space station. Fine, it's on the planet, that's okay. And they're going there because there are some minor anomalies in the reading of the warp core. It's pretty good stuff. But instead, we're getting some drama. Riker's being promoted to captain in a plot point that serves no purpose other than making us think, why wouldn't he take that job? And will make us wonder for the next, I don't know, 5 seasons and 4 movies, why he hasn't become captain in the meantime, since Starfleet are so keen to promote him. But what's more, there's family drama. Always exciting to meet a family member. We've met Loxana Troy, big hit with everyone. So, what do you think of the character of Kyle Riker?
He's a bit of a cock, isn't he?
You'd think there would be something sympathetic to actually find in a character. But he's set up, he's got problems with his son. Is it they're too similar? No, it's actually that this man is an absolute monster. I like when he says, well, I stuck around for 13 years, that was enough. Oh, what a lovely father you are.
It's even worse than that. It's, I put up for 13 years, and if you don't like it, tough. Yeah, I struggled to exist for those 13 years. So much was my utter hatred of you that I could barely bring myself to live for 13 years.
And also, it is revealed that he used to cheat at a dangerous martial art in order to beat his son. And it's given over as this, it was a fatherly thing to keep you fighting, to keep you striving for more. But no, it's actually just a man who likes beating his son. It's an overly competitive dad. What a horrible, horrible person.
Yes, I mean, it's kind of like dropping in the dad from the Farce show, Competitive Dad. And you know what? I think I might have preferred Simon Day in the role.
I don't think the actor was bad. It was just the script, really.
You do expect him to have some kind of motivation in the end, that there is actually something to be revealed. They just sort of set up this romance with Pulaski in order to reveal something. And he says, oh, he wouldn't have married me. Do you know why? And then they never tell us. Why wouldn't he? Was he too much in love with Riker's mother? Is there something there? Will he never love a woman again? Is there something?
It seemed to me that it was going in the direction of, do you know why he never remarried? It was career? No, Will. It was because of you. And then some sort of cheesy soap opera music playing as he realises it's all been about him all along. Yeah, but no, just leave it hanging. Do you know why he did? No. Do you care? No, not really, no.
To be fair, I can understand somebody not marrying Pulaski. That makes perfect sense to me. I don't need an explanation there.
By reflection, that she loves this man, this horrific character. I can't really see any kind of redeeming qualities in him. It reflects very poorly on her that she would fall in love with such a hideous person.
You said you didn't like the plot of Riker staying on board the Enterprise, but I actually like that facet of his character.
Loyalty is a good thing, isn't it?
It's not done so well in this episode, but I like that part of his character, and it is done much better later on.
Because this is the second ship that Riker has refused to captain.
He was offered the USS Drake in the Arsenal of Freedom.
So let's just keep a count. How many times is Riker? That's two. It's interesting you did mention soap opera there, because I think that it does come across like a sort of daytime soap. It's just histrionic melodrama with everything painted in broad strokes and very little subtlety, to the point where it does come down to an actual physical fight. And again, not in the holodeck. They have a gym. Just like they have a shooting range, they have this Tron cosplay, the most deadly form of martial art, where they blindfold and then hit each other with cotton buds.
Ambojitsu.
Well, I mean, it's that far in the future that you can get away with plagiarising gladiators and no one's going to care. What's that? Mr. Wolf or Mr. Worf? Thieves, that's what I'm saying. They're just thieves.
James, as you said, it's a good aspect of Riker's character that the Enterprise is actually a more interesting place to be than commanding a dull ship. But I just think it's an unhelpful obstacle to put in the way. I think it asks a question that they don't answer in a satisfying way. Especially at the end, I've decided to stay on board. I mean, there's hints of the Troy relationship in this episode, but I just don't think they give a satisfying resolution to why Riker wouldn't want to take command. Riker, who in the earlier episodes was portrayed as incredibly ambitious and desperate for a command of his own.
Well, they suggest that it's as a result of him learning that his father used to cheat at the game because it was the only way that he'd be able to beat him. And so his dad does love him. But why does that mean that he's staying with the Enterprise? I mean, it's presented that there's a through link there, but I can't see what it is.
It might be his dad is giving him the commission, so maybe he thinks it's nepotism.
It's better to earn things on your own terms. But, like, it's not really nepotism, given he's not spoken to his father since joining Starfleet and has done pretty well for himself. Oh well.
Which, as I say, it's done better in season 3 and 4.
What, as in vaguely well?
Is the Klingon stuff more interesting?
I think interesting is a stretch. I think it's light relief from something that should be interesting.
I'm sorry, the Worf being attacked by a bunch of Klingons is light relief.
Yeah.
The whole thing that set Worf off in the first place, where Wesley goes, basically, my dad's dead. Hey, Worf, your dad's dead as well, isn't he? Is Worf not perfectly within his rights to shout at him in that situation? Would that not be the normal reaction? Hey, Riker's dad's alive. Hey, how do you feel about that? Your father being brutally murdered by the Romulans. Let's bond over it. No.
Hey, you remember your dead dad? Let's talk a bit about your dead dad.
And then he goes, Worf's acting pretty strange. And he's like, no, that was the appropriate response to you, Wesley. That's what everyone is repressing all the time. I think this is Wesley at his absolute worst. His most gossipy, terrible, horrible, interfering, rubbish, over-earnest. It's hideous, and I really did want to reach into my TV screen and rip out his lungs and beat him over the head with them. It's just terrible characterization, and I just cannot be on board with the character when he's acting that way.
You know what I think Wesley does? When he goes back to his quarters, he's got a little doll of Worf, and he sits it down at a table and goes, and this is the first meeting of the Dead Fathers Club. And then he has a little pretend meeting where they talk about what their fathers used to be like and how Riker's dad might be interesting and what would happen if he died and Riker could join the club.
Hey Georgie, tell us a bit about your father. No, you don't have any backstory. Sorry. Ultimately, it emerges that it's been 10 years since Worf's rites of ascension. So, basically, as James said in his intro, the Klingon bar mitzvah, and it's some special anniversary, and Worf's meant to be doing something special. God, I mean, get over it, Worf. I mean, you weren't even raised Klingon. Is this that significant? Should it be that significant? It's fair enough. And you get to learn a bit more about Klingon culture and how they like to be beaten with pain sticks by other men as they walk down the gauntlet from gladiators.
And he's witnessed by all of his friends and O'Brien.
Well, I mean, there's something in itself, isn't it? For what is supposed to be his family, according to Geordie, yeah, we get all the family in, all the family. Yeah, they're all going to come down and they're going to watch your special day. Oh, you've got Captain Picard? No, but we've got all the rest of the family. All the family, they're going to be there. Oh, Mr. Riker? No, not Riker and not Picard. But all the family, they're going to be there for the big day. And they're all going to turn up. They're all going to watch you. Councillor Troy won't be there, but they're all going to be there and they're all going to watch.
When Worf requests a transfer to go with Riker, I don't understand that scene. Do you remember when they had them trying to build up the sort of buddy dynamic with them earlier in the season? What's that episode?
Where Silence Has Lease.
And it's almost like they're wanting to set up some kind of buddy relationship. And here, Worf always follow Riker? I don't get it. Or is it just a symptom of him being in a bit of a strop this week? Was there more to read into that? Did I miss something?
I think it's just that he's in a strop, so death would be better.
Oh. I would like to give a special mention to Marina Sirtis. I think this is the best that Troy has been. She does have some things to do, and she does them well. She actually calls out Kyle Riker on him being competitive with his son. Maybe a bit explicit in terms of revealing stuff about the character, but she's actually useful and there's conflict and confrontation. I like that. And also when she's escorting Worf to the holodeck, she's sort of taking the piss out of him. And I'm on board with that as well. It's doing something reasonable with the character, actually making her seem a bit more rounded.
Well, that thing of using her as a trap to catch Riker's dad in, yeah, that's actually using the character's strengths in a good way for, Christ, what seems like the first time.
So, do you guys enjoy watching Worf getting beaten with some sticks?
Not really.
Didn't you say that this was the best bit of the episode?
It's relief from the soap opera bit that maybe could have been good, perhaps, but wasn't. I'll be honest with you. Riker is not really the character that I'm that interested in the backstory of.
Whose backstory are you interested in?
Picard?
Yeah, I would agree, but I guess his dad's not coming on board at any time soon.
It doesn't have to be Picard. It's just that Riker is set up as a certain type of character, and you can make out all you want of, he's got a slightly cocksure manner, and it's because he had to fend for himself because his dad didn't care. I don't really care. It's not a character who makes me think I'm interested in their backstory from that sort of element of things. I'm really not. I'd be more interested in a Geordie backstory, to be honest. That bad.
Wait till season 7.
The season where everybody's parents suddenly turn up.
I guess if you're doing a long-running show, you're going to delve into everyone's backstory. Perhaps, except Geordie's. We've had quite a lot of data stuff so far. I'm sure there's more to come. But this one was also revealing Pulaski's backstory for reasons unknown. I really hate the laziness. Oh, everyone's connected, it turns out, which they did in the pilot as well. But it does seem like the sort of thing that even in passing, she would say, I know your father, or I've met your father at some point. The line where she basically goes, oh, it just never came up.
And that was why he never remarried.
Yeah, and she could have mentioned it last week when Riker mentioned his father when he was making eggs. But she just stood there, looking at the eggs.
I guess there's the plot that we all want to talk about. The readings from the warp core. The reason for visiting Montgomery Base in the first place.
Highlight of the series. Highlight.
I watched this episode about 3 hours ago, and until I read the synopsis, I had no idea that this actually happened in the episode.
I don't really see why it's there. It screams of being filler. And, you know, we've got enough filler with the Worf plot, but I'm not even sure if the A-plot isn't filler as well. It seems so insignificant. I get what they're trying to do, but it's not a science fiction concept. There isn't any science fiction in this episode at all. To me, it could take place anywhere. It's a father-son drama, and then it's I'm depressed because I'm away from my culture drama. There isn't anything that couldn't be done on a show that's not Star Trek, and therefore it's kind of a waste of time.
Riker loves filler.
What, you mean he's got 2 tubes of No More Nails? I mean, it's good stuff, but you probably only need one at a time. I mean, there's only so many holes a man can fill.
Don't use No More Nails to fill a hole. Use No More Nails to glue things to the wall, like a chair.
Wow, that seemed like a flame going past in a prompt way. Yes, it was a quick fire.
Quick fire.
Mitchell Ryan played Kyle Riker. You might know him as the bad guy from Lethal Weapon.
Nope. This is more than a surprise. It's a total shock. You mean you didn't bake me a cake? No. What? Why would I bring a cake? That is totally the wrong thing for this kind of situation. I mean, Jesus, what do you take to a funeral? A firecracker? Who carries a cake in their pocket for chance meetings?
The Folians get a mention. They appeared in the Folian Web, and would later go on to appear in Enterprise. It is an interesting quote from the director. Well, according to Roddenberry, by the 24th century, we've all kind of resolved those feelings of anger. So it's very hard to play. If you're not going to serve the resentment and the anger, what happens once you get the two of them together? Well, you can't do this story in that case. If that's... You just can't.
The director and Rick Berman seem to be trying to blame Gene Roddenberry for not wanting overt emotions and family issues in the show. They still have weird family issues here. I mean, I can't... What was Gene Roddenberry's influence in toning down the conflict between Riker and his father?
Gene Roddenberry wanted humans basically to be the perfect race. In Star Trek The Next Generation, he imagined that all of Earth was some kind of weird hippie commune where nobody does anything other than for the betterment of mankind, so conflict is an anathema, and so there shouldn't be any kind of family conflict. That's Gene Roddenberry's box, as I believe Michael Piller would go on to put it. So you've got these parameters, which is really difficult to do drama if you can't actually have any emotion or any conflict. And maybe they're right, because they did try that here and it really didn't work.
But they still this is still conflict, and it's still petty conflict. I don't see what Gene Roddenberry's influence, but Gene Roddenberry watch this and say, oh, that's exactly what I wanted from the perfect humans.
If you could just make the tits bigger, then we're on to a winner.
Well, that wraps up our in-depth discussion of the Icarus Factor. We'll be back next time talking about pen pals. Mine's from France and is absolutely adorable. Goodbye.
My pen pal is from a planet that's exploding, and if we don't save her, she'll die or something. Goodbye.
And mine's a biro. Goodbye.
You know what I think Wesley does? When he goes back to his quarters, he's got a little doll of Worf, and he sits it down at a table and goes, and this is the first meeting of the Dead Fathers Club. And then he has a little pretend meeting where they talk about what their fathers used to be like and how Riker's dad might be interesting, and what would happen if he died and Riker could join the club.
The thing that terrifies me is that all the dolls are made of skin.
It's made out of the skin of the second Picard. It didn't fade away from history. That was a transporter.
He puts the lotion on its skin.
To be fair, what's worse? Picard killing Picard, or Wesley making skin dolls out of the already dead Picard?
Put the body in a fucking transporter.
Are we just going to do Buffalo Bill voices from now on?
Oh, no.